This is probably the biggest bone of contention that we have, and probably solicitors have, and that is trusts for properties. Can they prevent your home being taken to pay for your care in the future? And the clear answer is yes, so long as you have not put that trust in place deliberately to avoid paying care fees, which would be called deliberate deprivation of assets. So as an example, I'll take a random 50-year-old woman who has just recently divorced. She's got 2 children, and in the divorce settlement she's got the house. She wants to make sure that that property is secure for her children going forwards, even if she remarries. She would, for example, set up a probate trust, a property probate trust, to ensure that going forwards, if she were to remarry and subsequently die or divorce, the property couldn't be taken in the divorce case. Now, the benefit of setting such a trust up is that it also has the side benefit of meaning if she gets to the age of 80, 90 and needs to go into care, then the local authority can't use that property to pay for her care because it is a trust property and was not set up to deliberately deprive the local authority of that property. It was very clearly set up for different reasons. And that is why our trusts do work, because we will always put in the back of our trusts the reasons why they were set up. So for a couple, for example, I want to make sure that should my partner remarry after my death, that my part of the property is protected. I want to make sure that my property doesn't have to go through probate. I want to ensure that should my children divorce after my death, that they wouldn't lose half of their inheritance in a divorce case. Now, these are all very good reasons for setting up property probate trusts, and they are all in themselves not deliberate deprivation of assets. So I'm very clear on this point. There are what I call dust bunnies of information floating around the internet that scare people from doing a trust strategy, and they are not correct. It is not true that a local authority will unwind a trust. They will unwind a trust if it's not been put in place correctly, legally, or it was done deliberately to avoid care fees. But if it's done correctly and in a timely fashion, and for reasons other than protecting the property from care home fees, it doesn't have to not be a reason, it just mustn't be the sole and overriding motivating reason, then it will work. And we are very, very careful about who we speak to. We are obviously asking people, have you been diagnosed with a medical condition that will give you reasonable cause to believe going forward you may need to go into care? Because if that is the case, we can't do it. A lot of people believe that if one party within a couple has lost mental capacity or been diagnosed with a chronic condition, they can't do it, which is not true either. We can look after the half and the party who hasn't been diagnosed with that, and therefore still protect half the property. So it is very important to us that our clients understand that there are solicitors out there who do not do trusts and therefore are not able to give that advice. Now, there are many who will be quite fair and will say you should go to Thy Will Be Done, or one of our colleagues or competitors that do trusts. But sadly, a lot of solicitors, rather than saying that, if they don't do trust themselves, will actually besmirch the whole idea of trusts and say you can't do it. Well, that tends to be through ignorance, because they're not trained within trusts and obviously they don't understand them, and therefore the very fact that they say you can't do it highlights the fact that they don't understand the parameters within which those trusts can work. And I've often said, will your solicitor underwrite the value of your property if you take his advice and don't put a trust in place and subsequently you are taken into care and you lose your home? Well, quite obviously the answer to that would be no. Whereas if you do put the trust in place, then so long as you haven't tried to hoodwink us and tell an untruth, then it will work. If you had, for example, put a trust in place and you already knew you were going to go into care, all that you would lose is the cost of putting the trust in place. So it still has a benefit, of course, even if the property is taken into consideration. It enables the property to be sold and an immediate care plan brought. So we don't advise anybody to put a trust in place unless we are fully 100% confident that it will work. And if they follow our advice, then it will always work. So yes, it is an area of contention. It will always be, I'm sure, an area of contention. But that's true of a lot of things, and pioneers within that industry and other industries have to stand tall and stand proud with what they do. And we are here to prevent individuals losing their homes through divorce, through bankruptcy, through marriage after death, sideways disinheritance, care fees, all manner of things which can obviously affect this, not just the care fees. But also we look to do this in a way that provides the best provision of protection at the lowest possible price. It is true that somebody could come through the door only having inquired about a will, and at some point later walk out of the door having bought a vast array of extra products. But I want to state on the record that that is not pressure selling. That's no more pressure selling than someone walking into Tesco's thinking they were going to buy a pint of milk and walking out with a buy one get one free can of beans. We all buy extra things. We all buy cars and put extras on them. Our job is threefold: to tell individuals what the risks are, to tell individuals how to mitigate those risks, and to tell individuals how much it's going to cost. We always do that. In many cases, clients will go, speak with their family, and then make a decision. The issue, whether they should or they shouldn't do the protection strategy we've recommended, should really be based on whether it's relevant to them and whether they can afford it. But sadly, so many times, individuals, when looking on the internet, see that many people say, oh no, it won't work, and therefore go without that protection which they otherwise would have had.